Hey guys, I wanted to talk to you about how to get out of high sec and get into, as a new player, to the older players, you already know all this. As a new player, I want to tell you the safer ways that you can get from high sec to low sec or null sec. And the reason for that is because if you're doing any kind of activity in high sec, that activity can be done more profitably in low or null sec, whether it's mining, whether it's missioning, whether it's running anomalies, doing exploration with data and relic sites. Whatever it is, you can do it more profitably in null sec or low sec. So I'm just going to give you a brief example. Here's a map of the universe, kind of rough, but you can see the colored systems are the high sec systems. So there's three security status, or there's three main classes of systems in EVE Online. There's high security, low security, null security. Everything from 1.0 security status to 0.5 is high sec. Once you get to 0.4 and all the way down to 0.1, it's low, and everything 0.0 is null sec. The lower down you get, the lower the Concord laws are, the less gate guns, that kind of thing. There's 4 gate guns on every gate for high sec, I think, and there's 2 in null sec, or 2 in low sec, 0 in null sec. So in null sec, you can attack somebody on a gate, no penalty, no criminal, no gate guns, no worries. So it's somewhat, by law, it's more dangerous, but it's actually not that much more dangerous because you can go to areas where it's very slow. And so we're going to set out a couple rules for how to find a safe place to go to do whatever it is you're doing. Let's assume you're doing exploration, because I think exploration is a great way for a new player to make ISK. Now I would suggest the best way for a new player, an alpha clone, to PLEX their account would be to mix 2 different methods. One, do some market trading. Watch my market trading video and get yourself 4 accounts, 1 in each trade hub. Or if you want to be lazy, you don't have to do that. Have at least 1 account in trade hubs that you go check while you're playing. You can go check that account, log out your 1 account, go check that account, and update the orders every 15 minutes while you're playing. Then go back to your active tune and do your active activity, which is going to be exploration. For exploration, if you go out into null sec, like Syndicate, you're going to be able to do 30, 40, 50 million ISK per hour. That's pretty reliable. Now, currently PLEXs cost just over $1 billion ISK. I think right now it's about $1 billion 50 million, roughly. So divide that by 30. You've got 35 million ISK per day that you need to make to PLEX your account in 1 month. Now, you don't got to do it in a month, and maybe you're not going to play every day, but if you play 2 hours a day for 3 days, you can probably do this because you're going to be able to make that. Just don't spend all your ISK trying to buy all the shiny stuff. Get 1 solid exploration ship and stick with it. Keep it relatively cheap, because as you're new, you're probably going to die. You're going to run into a few things. And for some help on survival, this video is going to tell you how to increase your odds just by navigation. But for survival tips, you need to look at my survival guide. I will link that on this video either right here or in the description, or both. If I remember, I'll put it right here on screen somewhere. But that's a very good guide to teach you about how to travel safely through low and null sec. It's probably the best guide out there for survival in EVE Online. So what we want to do is we want to get out to low or null sec, and we want to do it in as safe as a manner as possible. To do that, we have to first define a few conditions of what makes it safe. One, the lower the traffic is, the slower the region, the safer the region. So if you go to a region where no one really bothers to go, there's no reason for PvPers to go there either, because there's no targets to kill. Therefore, it's pretty safe. When you're in these systems doing exploration, running anomalies, running missions, whatever you happen to be doing, just have the basic rule of I will not leave the station so long as someone else is in system with me. I will not go out into an exploration site, go to a anomaly, go to a belt. I will not put myself in a killable situation so long as there's an unknown pilot in system with me. And just watch local. Keep local separate. Somebody comes into system, immediately align the station. If there's not a station, align to a gate. If you're worried that the gate's going to have people on it because it's a lot of people coming through system, align to a safe spot. If you need to know how to make a safe spot, basically while you're flying through space, mid-warp, like halfway in warp between 2 points, hit Control B and then type safe in the box and hit enter. Do that during the warp. When you hit enter is where the spot's going to go. So remember that. So you can just go to a safe spot. But if you're at a safe spot, you need to be watching for probes. So make sure you have combat probes added to your overview so that when you run your directional scanner, you can see the probes. So we want a low traffic, low population system. We want to enter that system through the least violent entrance, so the least likely to be camped. And we want to find a pocket in that system that has even lower traffic. So as an example, we're going to go in through Genesis, but one more thing. We also, if we're going to go to Null Sec, we want to go to NPC Null Sec, because NPC Null Sec has stations that allow you to dock, as opposed to if you were to come here to Delve or period basis, which I think is goons right now, you wouldn't be allowed to dock because you're not a goon or whatever. So and that's the same for all these that are sovereignty null. There's some exceptions like Providence where you'll probably be able to dock. So the NPC null systems are Stain, Curse, don't go to Curse, it's violent, there's way too much PvP there. Venal, don't go to Venal because you got to go through some of the busiest systems in the game. Great Wildlands is pretty good. It's relatively slow, but still, obviously, be careful. My favorite is for NPC null is Syndicate, Outer Ring, and then to a much lower extent in NPC Core Fountain, or Fountain Core as people would call it. So for the purpose of this video, I'm going to show you how I did it in a video that I'm working on right now for exploration. I knew that Genesis is a very slow region, and just in case I didn't tell you, I'm on .land maps, .land.net. Very good website that you should use throughout your EVE career. Genesis is where I learned the PvP many years ago, like 2008. So I know the region very well. I've been back there many times. I go back a couple times a year just to see if there's anything there worth playing with because of, nostalgia, and I have a sense of ownership to the region where I feel like it's, certain areas of the region, kind of have a little bit of ownership to me because my alliance controlled them for so long. Those would be from Gonditza to Sharza, basically. So I know the region well, and I know that every time I've been back there in the last few years, it's completely dead. The low sec is completely dead. It's not all low sec. Let me show you security status. So you can see that it's got a lot of 0.5s and 0.6s, 0.5, 0.5, 0.6, 0.5, 0.6, 0.7, 0.7. You see, and then this whole outskirts here is low sec, right? And if we want to look at where's the best place to go in, I could tell you without even looking at this because the way the region's set up lends itself to this. But the worst place to go in is through Gonditza. No, that's not it. This one. Gonditza. So that shows me there's been 11 ship kills and 3 pod kills in the last 24 hours. If there's going to be a gate camp in Genesis, it's going to be Gonditza. The next most likely is going to be Anthem right here. The systems behind Anthem can be a little bit active because there's usually someone who lives back here. And if there's an alliance who lives here, then there's people who come to kill them. It's just kind of the way it works. So if you're kind of just interested in EVE lore, you might want to go out here to New Eden. New Eden's where the whole EVE Online story started, and it's a really weird looking system if you want to go check it out. I've been there many times, but not in the last like 3 or 4 years. There's really no reason to go all the way to the end of that pipe. It's always empty. But if I was to come here and go into Genesis to start my little exploration and, you know, working my way up from low sec to null sec exploration, here's how I would do it. I would set my autopilot to astronaut, manually pilot or whatever, in an exploration ship. That could be a Heron, whatever, with a relic analyzer and a data analyzer and a cargo scanner. If I was doing exploration, which I think is the best thing, data and relic sites. So I would come here, and it's relatively cheap too, so if you lose your ship, it's not that big of a deal, so long as you don't lose all your stuff. And there's a way to avoid that, and that's basically periodically go dock at the station after every site or two and just dump your stuff off. There's no reason to carry it around with you everywhere you go. Dump it at a station, and then when you have to haul it out to sell it, haul it out with a warp-stabbed frigate that's, you know, one of the faster frigates, like a Condor, a Slasher, Executioner, or what's the other one? Atron. That's it. So one of those fast frigates that's already fast, put some warp stabs in it, and then haul the stuff out with that. Be very careful getting it to a station because there's going to be gankers along the way. Never haul too much at once, because the more value you have in your ship, the more likely you are to get ganked. Pilot manually whenever you're carrying loot. Warp to gate 0 at 0 every time. That gives them less time to scan you, less time to kill you, and try to fit some kind of buffer on your ship. So what I would do is I would put damage control and 2 warp stabs in the lows if you have 3 lows. If not, then just 2 warp stabs if you have 2 lows. At least 2 warp stabs. Then I would put medium shield extender and maybe a limited adaptive invulnerability field in the mids, and that way you have a pretty good little cargo ship that can get you wherever you're going fairly safely. So I'd go in through, I'd set destination to astronaut, come in through Itron. Itron is almost always empty, start my scanning, and then I would work my way back here to Sharza. This whole pocket here of Sharza, Bantish, Layla, Partod's an ice mining system, but it's always dead. It's a great pocket. You can dock in all these stations all along this little pipe here, go into the side systems, do exploration. Almost no one's ever there, therefore the sites will not have been done, and they're just going to be sitting there waiting on you. When you're ready to move up, come here through Galnifsad, Otakad, Van. From Van to Zay, Shirshaken, Aguilares, Ferrul, and then you want to come into Syndicate. When you go to null sec, you want to come in from the back, which is D85. D85 is going to be camped probably like 1 hour per week, like for the entire week, and even maybe not even that much. D85, there's just no reason for anybody ever to camp that entrance to Syndicate because it's not used as an entrance, and that's why I'm telling you to go there, because it's not worth the campers' effort to be there. As opposed to PF, you can see it is worth their effort, and they're always in PF just about. And they're almost always in 6 Charlie, 6-CZ. And they're very commonly in MHC. So ideally come in through D85, but if you need to come in through a different way, I would suggest you either come in through MHC, which I would avoid, honestly, or a little bit better than MHC as an entrance is TXW, but there's a lot of low sec you have to go through here to get to TXW. Once you're in Syndicate, I would stick right in this area unless you ran out of sites to do, and then I would go here to the VSIG pocket. The VSIG pocket is super slow. Let's look at NPC kills in the last 24 hours. That gives us a better idea. So there's somebody back here. I didn't mean to do that. There's somebody back here, but other than that, it's pretty slow. This is a big pocket here, but there's definitely somebody back here. Over here, it's kind of an interesting area. If you can get to this corner of Syndicate, it's a pretty slow corner because everyone who's coming through MHC typically will come down this way, and the furthest to the right they'll get is ZVN and 8J. They'll never go AAS or QWF or ATY. These systems almost get zero traffic. If we look at jumps in 24 hours, you can see they get much fewer jumps than everybody else. So this little pocket here is actually pretty slow, and you could have hours at a time where you see no one over here. So if you can't get to there, then this pocket here is going to have some people. This pocket's pretty good. And then even further, if you want to go a little bit further, you can go to Outer Ring. Outer Ring is interesting in that it's probably going to be slower than Syndicate, although there does appear to be some traffic through, but it's probably just through traffic. The busiest system in Outer Ring is going to be 4C. It's got a station. That's why it's the busiest. It's also a crossroads where the whole region kind of splits. You can't avoid going through there. Therefore, it's likely to be camped. If you would like to go to Fountain, then I suggest you go in through Hofib, which, see if I can find it here. Hofib and Iridia. So this whole area here is going to be dead. All the way up to 9V is going to be absolutely dead. You come in through Hofib. Iridia itself is pretty slow usually. Maybe not. But you can get to Iridia from Syndicate. Let me show you that. Where is it? No. Yes. So there's Otakod. Remember from Genesis we came in? So from Genesis you would come in through Van, Zage, Shiroshakin, and just come down this pipe here. But beware, there's going to be people. When you're moving through Low Sec, I would strongly recommend that you fly with warp stabs. You know, if you're not looking for PvP, it's in your best interest. And in a frigate also. Don't fly bigger ships. Bigger ships are more likely to get caught. There's no reason to. So that's basically it for this guide about the navigation of it. And I guess I'll show you one more. Let's go back. It's probably easier to do this. Like, let's say you wanted to go to a different region. Maybe you wanted to go to, let's say, Great Wildlands. This is an area I'm not that familiar with because I haven't spent a lot of time over here. But let's just see. So I'd probably come in through Derelict. Let's look at security. That's low sec, but you can see there's some high sec here. So it's only a couple jumps from high sec. And then if we look at the kills, okay, so that's going to be a pretty dangerous system to come in from. But I'm not seeing a whole lot of other. This would probably be a good one, Corona, to come in. It's better than the other one. And that is, pretty sure that's either high or low. Low sec, with a lot of high sec over here. So that's another option for you. But basically go in through the slowest entrance. Watch the survival guide because it'll tell you how to survive when you do run into trouble, because you will run into trouble. You will run into gate camps. You will run into insta-lock camps. And if you go to Null Sec and you don't know what you're doing and bounce properly, then you're definitely going to run into bubbles and you're going to die. Guaranteed. So for safety, go watch that survival video right now. I'm going to put that on the screen again somewhere, maybe like right there on the right side. And watch that video. It's going to save your ship. Guaranteed. It will save your ship at least once and probably hundreds of times if you go watch that video. So that's it for today. I'm working on a exploration video where I show you a little bit more in depth the Alpha Clone exploration, and hopefully I can have that out in the next few days for you.